Welcome back to another Workshop Wednesday brought to you by schoolofbookkeeping.com, where it's casual conversations for serious workflows. And we're joined again by KG from Lightspeed. How are you, KG?
Doing well, thanks, Dan. How are you?
Very good, very good. So we are continuing our series with Lightspeed. This is part three of our series, and KG's been nice enough to join us through all of those. So you can always check those out on our YouTube channel or wherever you happen to be catching the workshop. Um, about those that have been migrating or needing to be migrating from QuickBooks Point of Sale to another service, and in this case, we're kind of focusing on Lightspeed because especially the clientele from the QuickBooks Point of Sale world has been you know inundated with choices. I guess that's probably the most polite way to say it. Would you say, KG?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and the main thing, and I was talking to my wife today about what a grudge purchase is, right? Nobody, especially a retail establishment, a retail brick and mortar store, they don't really go looking for a new point of sale system, right? I mean, they, it's going to take an event like to cause them to be able to look to that. I mean, do you see that in the Lightspeed world of like, people just looking for a better way, or do you find them, you know, coming to you just because they were, looking at something and then
Mhm.
decided to check it out?
Yeah, I think it aligns with what you said. And there's always an event, or people typically buy out of something as opposed to into something. So
Yeah.
something will happen with their current workflow that'll be a huge detriment. So like the
Hmm.
camel that broke the, or the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak.
Right.
So then that's when they'll be like, all right, I need something else. And then once they
Right.
put their name into some sort of list, and that's where, of course, everyone starts to reach out and says, hey, we noticed there's a little bit of interest.
My wife was like, "What the heck is a grudge purchase?" Right? And the
Mhm.
whole thing centers around an event, right? Like
Yep.
you don't go looking for a plumber until you've got a leaky sink, right?
Yeah.
So you don't go looking for a heating air conditioning company until your air conditioner goes out in the middle of
Yep.
summer, which all
Yep.
that's always when it happens, right? It's
Yep.
you never you never need those things when they're not broken. So if it's not broke, don't fix it. And it's definitely the
Mhm.
same thing for a point of sale system, right? As long as I'm ringing up sales,
I'm good.
it's yeah, it's working for me. And as long as something doesn't break with that, then I'm not in the market for looking for something else. Um, so obviously the latest trigger event, which has brought a lot of people to looking for something else, is the discontinuation of QuickBooks Point of Sale. And as it's a program that we talked about in our first workshop, that the big differences between QuickBooks Point of Sale and Lightspeed, where it comes to environment and back office sort of things, and then kind of like the tasks that you do in the back office, like setting up inventory and those types of things, and comparing and contrasting the things that you can do. But now today we're going to be talking about the things of making sales, because that's kind of what the name of the software is. It's the point of sale, right? It's is to bring up sales. Now, from KG, from a Lightspeed perspective, what is the ideal uh, type of business that really finds itself using Lightspeed and using it well?
Um, so the ideal customer for us internally is more anyone who's looking to improve their practice or scale their business. At the end of the day, what we offer that makes us a lot very different from anything else in the industry is being able to use things like our analytics to drive that business further. Not just let things like stale or slow moving stock sit there and collect dust. Give them reasons to put them on promotions, and then or making all those tools that we have easily accessible. That's the big one. Is we want to make sure that it's not only easy for the owner to view and use it, but easy for their staff. to use it as well. And then going down even further to the consumer level, we're all consumers. We all go shopping, and we want that transaction part to be fast. I just want to go, pay, and get out of there. I don't want to spend too much time doing this and that and everything else. But all those abilities are there for the business if they decide to go any of those additional routes. But the ideal customer for us, if you're looking for that next step, something to help kind of scale your business and utilize the tools that we have, then that's where we step in.
So that's the type of, type of retailer, but what type of vertical
Yes.
would be a best fit for something like Lightspeed?
Yeah. So there we do have kind of specific verticals that we do shine very well in. To name off a few, so things like bike, sporting goods, jewelry, apparel, electronics, vape stores, pet stores,
Hmm.
health and beauty or supplements, things like that, and then home decor are some of our biggest verticals. Mainly because we cover a lot of those features that they need natively without workarounds or integrations. But
Right.
in this case, a lot of the
So it's kind of
times,
like the out of the box.
yeah,
There is
exactly.
no box with
Mhm.
nothing
Yeah,
to unbox
yeah,
with Lightspeed unless you have
yeah,
hardware. But I mean,
exactly.
but you just log in and
Mhm.
you get it up and running and start working
Absolutely.
on it. Um, so without those, when you're thinking of other types of verticals, like one thing that QuickBooks Point of Sale was really helpful in with is like the type of company that not only sells hard goods, I
Mhm.
buy stuff, I sell stuff on the shelf,
Mhm.
but they also maybe have a service component of that. Something like a pool company
Mhm.
that would have, they would have a brick and mortar front, for parts and
Yep.
those types of things, but then also, have, um, you know, a service side of things, or, if they're even, creating pools or building pools, that's the word I was looking for. If
Exactly.
they're actually, they have customers come in and design their own pool and that sort of thing. Where does that kind of vertical fit in with
Mhm.
Lightspeed?
So yes, the if they're service based, then we do have solutions for that. At the end of the day, we
Hmm.
want to be able to cover as many features because sometimes you'll have a business that falls into our, let's say, apparel
Hmm.
vertical, and they do that very well. We strive with with verticals like apparel, but then sometimes an apparel store will offer things like services, hemming, adjusting,
Hmm.
whatever it is that they offer.
Yeah.
So we need to be able to cover those bases for that type of business. And the good thing with that is that that typically ties to other verticals that do services or that are predominantly services, like tailoring
Hmm.
or bike shops, for example. So yeah, we do cover a lot of that, and of course, we're always trying to make improvements to it as we use it with the customers.
Now, is that something that Lightspeed will do right out of the box
Mhm.
with regards to services, or
Mhm.
is it more of like as soon as you mention
Mhm.
service, work orders, those types of things, in a retail shop,
Mhm.
your best bet is looking at, a third party integration that integrates with um, Lightspeed.
So services is, I believe, something that comes natively, but it is a module that is unlocked. So it is very situational. Not every business is going to need or use services. Uh, so yeah, it is a module that can be added on to the business if needed.
Got it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to ask you about, like what's an ideal fit,
Mhm.
fit, those that might be looking and going, okay, well, I might need something,
Mhm.
but my company does X, right? So that
Mhm.
would kind of fit in. And it's always good to check out, check it out
Absolutely.
and have a demo and just to see if it is a good fit
Mhm.
for your business. But if it doesn't, or I'm sorry, if it once you see it, then
Mhm.
you can kind of make that determination. But
Yeah.
there's just because it doesn't do it right out of the box doesn't mean that there isn't a good that
Yeah.
Lightspeed isn't a good fit because of your
Yeah.
API and partners that you work with as well, right?
Absolutely. The way we like to position it is we cannot be everything for everyone. So we're really good at what we do natively, but then we rely on things like our partners to build out and provide them advanced features for things that they want to take it to the next level.
Right.
So things like loyalty, they want to take our native loyalty and make it better. There's Marcelo.
Hmm.
So anything else outside of that, so things like age verification or whatever it may be, there we chances are we have an integration with it. We have a open API, like you mentioned. Developers and softwares like to build on it. It's open, it's free. So people will
Hmm.
typically build an integration that sometimes we may not know about that they'll support, but then sometimes we'll work together to build an integration that we will support internally. So the pool
Right.
is very large.
Right. Now, Lightspeed is one of those companies that likes to acquire and then build in the integration. You are an
Yeah.
example of that because you came from Vend, and then, and then Lightspeed, using that as its flagship product. Are there, is that for other workflows as well? Is that they're always on the lookout for
Mhm.
things to bring in natively, even if it's not something they build, but they could, bring it into the fold type of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it does typically come from the partner that'll say, "Hey, I have this customer who uses our platform but needs to integrate to a point of sale, and we notice you have an open API. Can we make this work?" And it normally starts off with the one customer, and if it's valuable to them, we'll most likely make it work. Um,
Right.
but yeah, of course, we're always open to new integrations. If anyone has a software that they're using that doesn't integrate to any point of sale that they know of, send it through. We'll make it work.
Yeah. Because like, the sweet spot for, oh, I wanted to ask you this question because I was looking at
Mhm,
your list of, ideal micro verticals, and then your kind of
mhm,
your risky,
mhm,
verticals. And obviously the risky ones are like the CBD,
mhm,
guns, firearms, ammunition, those
mhm.
types of things that are kind of like a little sketchy when it comes
Yeah,
to payments.
payments. Yeah.
But the last one on the list was high end furniture.
Yes.
um, was that specifically about the payment side of things, or that's not a really great fit for Lightspeed itself?
That's a great question. It is in regards to payments across the payment
Okay.
industry, and even the furniture stores will probably understand this as well. That a lot of the times it's because of the high volume of transaction. So it's not very often that someone will come in and drop $15,000 on a credit card.
$50,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So when that does happen, it
Okay.
raises eyebrows at the payment processor at the bank levels. So in most cases, it's not that we can't handle the functionality of the business. That's a great fit for us. One of our biggest ones is home decor and furniture that we
Hmm.
work with. But in most cases, or in some cases, the high-end verticals or high-end furniture stores, they may just have a harder time getting our processing. But we do have high-risk processors that we work with as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out because when I was looking at, okay, a good fit is home decor, that
Mhm.
says to me furniture,
Yeah,
and then to say high end furniture is not a good fit. I
yeah,
thought it was maybe because they do a lot of special orders and those types of
yes.
things, and that's not a great workflow fit for Lightspeed. But you can solve those needs
Mhm.
for those types of stores. It's just when it comes to the
Yeah,
integrated payment solution, and you still
absolutely.
do have payment solutions that will work
Mhm.
for those types of industries, right?
Absolutely. And again, that's where our partners come in. So for things like CBD um, that need high risk processing, we just can't do it with Lightspeed Payments, for example. But we have partners that will do it, that we have full integrations with, and those ones are typically exempt of any additional processing fees because we cannot
Right.
work with them on the payment side.
Because normally, if you're not using Lightspeed Payments, is a good
Mhm.
call out. So if you're not using,
Mhm.
because again, one of the great advantages of Lightspeed is this all-in-one solution.
Correct.
You've got your point of sale for your brick and mortar. You've got your e-commerce
Mhm.
option for your website, so you can, within one application, you can basically sell online and in store. And
Mhm.
then you've also got payments between those both of those
Exactly.
workflows, which can allow you to accept credit card payments for either of those two things. So you've got this all-in-one solution
Exactly.
type of thing for that. And that's one of the great advantages
Mhm.
um, of Lightspeed. Even comparing that to QuickBooks Point of Sale, because you've got applications that you kind of have to bolt on in order
Mhm.
to do those things. So if you have an e-commerce website, yes, you can bring those transactions into QuickBooks Point of Sale, but you
Mhm.
need a bridge or a connector to do that, right? So
No third
uh,
parties. Yeah.
yours yours is all like all in the
Exactly.
box, right?
Yeah. I could manage the loyalty, e-commerce, multiple locations, all from one link. And what makes it easier is the bills as well, right? I always like to compare it to when I combine my cell plan with my home internet, and
Hmm.
being able to just be with one company, one bill makes it significantly easier. So compare that
Right.
to something in your business if you could just consolidate all of that.
So when they're in that vertical that it
Mhm.
doesn't really fit for Lightspeed payments, you have a third party, or if they say, well, hey, I prefer my own payment processor or something like that. I'm in a long-term contract and it doesn't make sense to switch.
Mhm.
You can use other payment processors with
Yes.
Lightspeed payments, but typically there is a per transaction fee from
Correct.
you, right?
Yes. It does cost us to train and support multiple integrations. So in this case, there is an additional processing fee that we would charge if not taking Lightspeed payments. But when it comes to the volume, um, there really should be no financial reason not to switch. We cover a lot of bases with what we offer with the integration. But on top of that, the savings that we offer just by offering a flat rate alone, we're doing better than 70% of the cases that we're seeing. And that's
Mhm.
hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars per month. So financially, there should
Yeah,
be no reason. And we do offer contract buyouts as well. So by all
yeah.
means, talk to the sales team.
But,
They'll help you out.
but I mean, when you think of all of the, like you were saying about like bundling your home and auto, if we're talking
Mhm.
about Patrick
Yeah.
Mahomes and um, with those types of things, when you bundle, you actually have a shopping cart website, so people can think of like, okay, well, the money that I'm spending or have spent on my website, I could feasibly roll into my Lightspeed subscription. My point of sale, my payment processing, all of that under one roof, so to speak. It does kind of add to the value of that bundle when they look at all of the other things that they don't have to have
Mhm.
when they're doing it with Lightspeed, right?
Exactly. Making it that much easier.
Right. And then there's only, like you said, one person to complain to, um,
Exactly. Yeah.
if
One
one
support.
thing goes wrong.
Yeah.
That is specifically trained on all of them, right? So
Yeah.
they're not like, it's not like a lot of finger pointing goes on when it comes to that. Intuit is famous
Exactly.
for finger pointing, right? It's like, oh
Yeah.
well, that's not our domain. That is the payment processor, or that's your
Yeah.
website, or that's Shopify, or that's. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that out loud.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about the sales workflows. And I know you have a hard
Mhm.
stop at in 10 minutes,
Mhm.
so we want to make
Yes.
sure we're concise. Um, what kind of sales workflows work best inside of, because this is all the point of sale is to
Mhm.
is to ring up sales. What's the scope of sales out of the box, right? And
Mhm.
obviously, there's that caveat of if there are,
Yeah.
hey, but my company, yeah, buts with my company does it this way.
Yeah.
There is the potential of third party application or third party integration that will fulfill that need
Mhm.
inside of a point of Lightspeed. There we go.
Yeah.
Couldn't say it right.
Yeah. No worries. Natively within the platform, what you get at the point of sale transaction is right away you get things like advanced promotions to be able to sell things like buy one, get one, for example. So those ones are right out the box. A simple basic transaction like scanning the product, paying for it, and then sending out an email, for example, instead of printing out a receipt. All of those things come natively within the platform, being able to collect customer data if you wanted to continue that flow. But the purpose of course, the sales screen is just to be as fast as possible, and we want to make those as quick and easy as possible. Again, not only for the owner, but for the staff member using it, the cashiers, the part timers that may not be there for a long time and need to learn this quickly. The user interface is extremely simple and easy to understand. Um, Natively, almost all the features are unlocked at that point, unless, of course, you need things like loyalty. Maybe you need things like services that may be dependent on the business or the vertical that you're in. So I would always recommend, bring your use case to the team, and we will always point you in the right direction. And if we can't solve it, like I said, we can't do everything for everyone. We have solutions in the form of integration. There's almost no situation we cannot cover on a retail basis with our integrations and native workarounds already.
So, I mean, the most common things of,
Hmm.
I don't track customers,
Hmm.
and I just want to ring up sales, something
Yep.
that is very like cash register
Yep.
focused of like I
Hmm.
just need to collect money
Yep.
and and then have a report of that about
Hmm.
that. That will certainly be done. But then when you start adding on, a little bit more complexity of
Hmm.
hey, I want to track this customer's buying habits. Maybe have
Yep.
a loyalty or send
Hmm.
out emails. Can you do that in Lightspeed? Like, does it have like an email marketing built
Yeah.
into it that
Hmm.
you can do rather than having to again purchase another Mailchimp or something
Yeah.
like that?
So the good thing is that similar to, well, we do have an integration with Mailchimp, I should note.
Yeah,
So
I'm sure you
if
do
they've
have
used
it.
it, yeah. But that being said, we do kind of have a white label with Marcelo. So it is billed by Lightspeed, for example, no third party. So it's direct
Mhm.
integration with them. If they wanted things like advanced loyalty, we do have our own base loyalty that we offer within Lightspeed, but it is a little bit more basic, only focused on in-store. But if your business
Mhm.
is more focused on omni, for example, selling online, in-store,
Right.
anywhere else, this connects it all. So that way the customer has the power to use their points anywhere they shop, right?
Yeah, 'cause
And
I
again,
went to I
mm,
went to a store that was using
mhm,
Lightspeed because of course I see, I'm
yeah,
always very curious about like what are
yeah,
they using, and I noticed they had a little tablet,
mhm,
and then they were ringing up other people and they were like, "Do you want to join our loyalty program?" They were talking about it, and I was like, "Wait a minute, I didn't think Lightspeed's loyalty did that, right?" And that's
mhm,
why I understood that. Oh, there's another
yeah,
loyalty program that's out there, and they were saying all the things that it could do, and like, oh,
mhm,
well, this is this is pretty
yeah,
phenomenal when it comes to that.
yeah,
Where you can
it's
like
under one
refer
bill.
people, yeah, and
Yeah,
and they can refer people to that.
yep,
But I mean, without that loyalty integration,
mhm,
is there a like with customer collection of just
mhm,
their email, phone numbers, that sort of thing? Can
mhm,
Lightspeed send marketing
yeah.
to them, or
Not
does it?
Not natively, no. So our tool is more focused
Okay,
on the in-store customer and inventory. We do have a loyalty program, but it is not a marketing tool. The main reason why is because once you get into things like marketing, you really want to track your ROI, and we just don't have the capability to do that. So that's where things like Marcelo come in. The loyalty plan is great if you're just looking to support, let's say, your local community, right?
hmm
In that case, it works perfectly fine for what you're looking for. But if you want to branch out more
yeah,
online, things like that, then we have tools to facilitate.
yeah, and QuickBooks Point of Sales loyalty, it does have a loyalty, but it's very
Mhm,
rudimentary, right?
mhm,
It's must very very similar to um, you know turning their purchases into some kind of currency, and that
exactly.
could be points that turn into dollars off or
Mhm,
something like that, and then they'll have an integration with something like Constant Contact or something like
mhm,
that for the marketing side of those types of things. But so
exactly.
you can still collect customer information in Lightspeed without those things, but what
Absolutely.
you do with them then becomes up to you, and you're taking the mindset or the the mindset that
Mhm,
hey, use that's kind of where we end, right? Like we'll
yeah,
collect the information, but not necessarily
yeah,
uh, give you all the great tools to do something with that because there
mhm,
are other players in the
yeah,
field that do that better than we do, and that's
yeah.
very overarching. I think that's very a
It,
good way to think about
Yeah, it does give you a little bit more an idea of which direction you want to take it because a lot of new businesses will start off and of course they just want to at least have a customer base because once they have that base, let's say first couple hundred customers, then they can start discussing, all right, I want to start bringing these customers back. How do I do that with X tool? go ahead and use the tool, dump your customers in there, and then you'll start putting them in things like automated marketing. Who clicks the
Right.
emails? Who refers their friends? Who collects points? Then you can start, again, even tailoring those marketing campaigns even more specifically. So it really does take it to the next level.
Yeah. And then one of the last things I wanted to talk about
Mhm.
and this kind of flows into, because, MailChimp is an Intuit
Mhm.
product, right? I mean, they're
Yes.
now they spend a lot of money
Yeah.
acquiring MailChimp.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's that whole marketing side of things where, okay, I can do some of these things inside of my QuickBooks because I can track
Mhm.
their customer purchases and that sort of thing. I just want to forewarn people the way that those things were sent over from QuickBooks Point of Sale to QuickBooks was typically in a summary fashion, right? So
Yeah.
um, you weren't necessarily tracking every customer purchase over into your QuickBooks. And Lightspeed functions much the same way, where at the end of the day, the QuickBooks integration with with QuickBooks Online is going to be the the end of the day type of thing. You're not going to be tracking
Mhm.
your individual customer sales in your QuickBooks because one,
Yeah.
that would just make the file huge, and
Mhm.
in QuickBooks Online that would make things slow, and then that would be horrible, right?
Yeah. A lot of manual work, a lot of man hours.
Right. So same thing for Lightspeed as far as the integration into QuickBooks when it
Mhm.
comes to the end of the day.
So are you talking about the actual integration itself with QBO?
Yes.
Yeah, so the integration, what we push is what's needed from our end. Like we don't push everything that needs to be sent over there just because QuickBooks just needs things like, for example, the sales ledger, payment processing that was accepted, invoices, things like that. We don't necessarily need to send over, you know, how well did this one product sell? That's the
Right.
kind of stuff maybe we'll keep
Yeah, because you're
internally.
not going to be doing your
Yeah.
inventory tracking inside of your QuickBooks Online.
Mhm.
You're going to be doing that inside of your point of sale and your Lightspeed.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
you'll get more usable data out of your Lightspeed over
Mhm.
your QuickBooks. So what sends over to QuickBooks is more of the end of day daily sales types of
Mhm.
things, and then you'll be able to um, you know take it from there. Like it's a relay race. It sends the
Yeah.
baton over to passes the
Use the
baton to
yeah.
QuickBooks,
Use
and then
the
it
use the
takes it
tools for
across
what
the
they're good for. Yeah.
exactly. So I know you got a hard stop, and I appreciate
Yes.
you joining us here today. But
No
we'll
worries.
wrap this up next week with our last part four of migrating from QuickBooks Point of Sale to Lightspeed with our special guest KG, and we appreciate you joining us today on the workshop, and we'll see you next time.
Take care. Bye bye.